My lifestyle.
That's how your voice would sound too. Okay. So, this is why I feel weird, like, writing the notes for you, because now I'm talking and you could just read. And I don't know. But let's talk through these. So, bias, you do need to know the definition of bias. That will be, I can almost guarantee that'll be on your test, this chapter. I can almost guarantee that'll be on the AP test. Bias is something you're doing wrong with your survey, which leads to answers that are not representative of the whole population. And so I put in here anything that systematically favors certain outcomes, which means we don't get proper representation of the population. So anything that you do that leads to something, some kind of error in either direction, is going to be a bias. So voluntary response bias, we started talking about this yesterday, because you could do volunteer sampling. And so volunteer response bias, we talked about. You get the people that have really strong opinions, and that's important, that's biased, because the people that responded may not be representative of everyone. And they might be, but they might not. So you're not getting like a fair view of what's happening, you're only getting the really strong opinions. Response bias is anything that has to do with how I present the question to you. It could be like the question wording is terrible. Okay, so how many of you guys want to get out of school 5 minutes earlier? Okay. Now, keeping in mind that that would mean we have to be here for 3 entire extra days in June to make up that time, how many of you want to get out 5 minutes earlier? I mean, but I don't even care what your answer is. You see what I'm doing with the question, though? Like, you can rephrase it to, you can slant the question. Like, I get these phone calls to ask me survey questions about the election. And most of the questions are decent. But then, like, this one the one time was like, you know, don't you think insurance rates are really high and that they should be lowered? Like, that's a completely biased question. The interviewer is trying to guide you to a certain answer. That's response bias. It could be just the person that's asking the question. So I think we've mentioned this, but don't answer this. But like, if I said, raise your hand if you've done illegal drugs in the last month, am I going to get an unbiased, fair response? No, because I'm answering the question, and you might be less inclined to be honest. There's a famous study where they had a black person ask a bunch of people questions about race, and a white person ask the same exact questions about race, and the results were like totally different. So just because of the person asking the question. So anything that has to do with the way the question is presented is response bias. Is that right? The next two are the tougher ones because they're easily confused. I think response is fairly simple. I think voluntary is fairly simple. Non-response means, like, I tried to get you to answer. You were included in my attempts to gather data. You just didn't want to do it. So if they hand out surveys to the mall. So non-response would be if you actually took it and then, like, didn't. Well, I guess just ignoring it either way. But, like, I get a lot of calls before the election too. Like, do you have time for a 10-minute survey? No. So that's non-response bias. I try to get people to answer, they didn't. I give you guys a survey about my class. I say, turn this back in tomorrow. Only 10 of you turn it in. Non-response bias. And why might that be unfair? Only the what? The goodies? So, just all you got to say is that the people that turned it in might be different in some way than the people that didn't. And I'm not saying they're goodies, baddies, cared, whatever. Just they might be different. Here's this survey about the cafeteria food. Everybody fill it out. Bring it back tomorrow. Your people aren't going to get. I think it's fine. Yes, why? Sandwich sign. That's what. Yeah.
It's just like when you're waiting in line, like you finally get there, like sorry, we don't have any signs.
Well, I get to cut in front of everybody, so I don't have that issue.
Yeah, you got
All right. So non-response. I send out surveys. I tried to get every type of person involved, and people just didn't want to answer. Okay. Under coverage is there were certain groups or types of people that my survey they never even had an opportunity to answer because of the way I set it up. So I didn't cover the entire population. For example, I go door to door on a weekday and ask people if they would like to volunteer at the library. Well, what type of people will never have the chance to answer that question? People that work. Sure. People that are still sleeping. People that don't live in houses. No, seriously. I mean, that's a huge... So, apartments or homeless. Like, they'll do studies on, do you think that more money should be spent on homeless people? And they'll go to houses. And so you're not even including the homeless people in the survey. So that's under coverage. Under coverage is you just never had a chance to be in the survey. It's not that you declined, it's just the way it was set up, you never even had an opportunity. I go through the phone book and I start dialing phone numbers to ask people. I put them in a hat, I mix them up, I do all that part right. I pick out 100 names from the phone book, I start calling and asking questions, what people never have a chance to answer. People that don't have home phones. I don't have a home phone. How many of you guys don't have a home phone? Right? So I could never be in the survey. And is it possible that our view on things is different than people that do have home phones? It's possible. It might not be, but it might. So non-response is, I tried to include you, you just said screw you. Under coverage is, I said screw you, and I didn't try to include you. So it's kind of the opposite things there. Yeah. 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 So read through those bottom 7 and tell me which type those are. If I give you guys time after this to work on your con, will you use it? All right, and then I can throw it up on the board too, and you can be like, "Hey, look at this question. Look at this question." It's not the same questions as you guys, but at least we can get the same style if you need. Yeah, there's only so many questions, so eventually you're gonna run into the same. But you can just call me over too and be like, "I don't understand this kind," and I can walk around and help people.
Right? Look back
Yeah,
at
so-
your notes. You look back at your notes to find
If you like took a picture of each one, eventually you would just
no, or you just remember them. You know.
right. Okay. So if I ask you if you like my class, what type of bias is that? I guess maybe the way I phrased it. I'm going to ask every single one of you in here if you like my class. What kind of bias is it? Response. Why? Because there's the person, like, yeah, I'm the one that I'm asking your opinion of, and so that could lead to, yeah, you might lie either way. You might like try to suck up to me, or you might be like, here's my chance to tell Davis off. And, I took an SRS to choose 80 people, so I did it right. I tried to get a fully random sample. I gave them each a survey, and only 50 of them returned. What's that? That's non-response. Let me ask you this. So the issue there is that the people that responded might be different in some way than the people that didn't respond. If I try again, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to, because people always say more data is better, right? Bigger sample size is better. If I do the same exact thing again, does that fix the problem that was already there? It would not. I would still have people not responding. The people that don't respond are still different in some way than those that do. So, like, doing something wrong more often, like, okay, did you ever, like, try to talk to someone that doesn't speak English, or, like, watch someone do this, and they'll be like, you'll where's the bathroom? And the person will be like, I don't speak English. And they'll go, where's the bathroom?
Yeah.
Like, you speak English if it's loud enough? Like, doing it more or louder doesn't fix the problem. So if you have an error, just like doing it more often does not fix it. I call 100 houses and give them a survey. What's that? Under coverage. You got to have a house phone, and not everyone has a house phone. So to fix that issue, I'm like, I'll just call 200 more and get more data. Does that fix it? No. Still have the issue. I'm only getting people with house phones. Mr. Shin, so I'll call you people up on stage, 200 of you, and ask if you've ever done drugs. What kind of bias is that? Response. I go to a homeless shelter and ask them survey questions. Under coverage, because I'm only asking homeless people. Kind of the opposite. I go to a super fancy hotel and ask the guests questions. Also under coverage. Well, 80% of these people thought the $60 steak was worth it. Well, yeah, because you asked a bunch of freaking rich people. It's a little different. I invite people that would like to fill out a survey about healthcare. Come to our room after school, so that's voluntary, right? And why would that would be really weird. Again, why does that matter? Why might that be bias? So, okay, why? The people that show up might be different than the people that don't show up, right? Questions on any of these? Any of these four? Okay, so I have no problem giving you time to do your con if you use it. If you guys start like doing other stuff, we're gonna put it away, and I'll just keep going with notes or frappies or whatever. But if you use it and I can help you, then it's a good use of time. I don't know what you can say. I don't know. Like probably late next week.
What else do you have to cover?
Nothing really, but we need to do